This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks, show number 426, recorded on December 12th, 2019. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News reviews, product updates, and conversation, a lot of it tonight, all for the Average Guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv studios here in Mike. Winter is upon us. No more fall. It's done. We had this wind the other day. In fact, when I left for London, we had wind advisory that it was like 100 miles an hour. Blew the leaves everywhere. I felt like all the work I'd done in the fall all screwed up. How's your yard?
Well, my yard's fine. I got all the leaves up, but I was supposed to be out in a deer stand hunting that day. It was a Sunday. We were down at the farm, and I just called it. I'm like, we're heading back to Omaha. I am not sitting out in a deer stand strapped to a tree 12 feet up in this wind.
Erin, do you guys have a bunch of snow on the ground, or how are you guys doing up there?
We have quite a bit of snow. We had a big dump of snow about a month ago. It kind of stuck around. We had another one, and then just yesterday we had another unexpected one. So I think it's going to be a white Christmas here.
That's good. That's not always a bad thing. We get maybe once every 3 or 4 years here in Nebraska as a white Christmas, and that's not always a bad thing. One time we had a blizzard Christmas Eve, like canceled Christmas Eve services, but that morning, and we had a foot or 18 inches of snow on the ground, and it was beautiful. And I was just like, this is Christmas. So sorry if you live in Australia, you'll never have a white Christmas, but you can have them if you come up here to the United States. Of course, we'll post a whole bunch of show notes tonight because Erin has been kind enough to provide the links for those. You can get them all out at the AverageGuy.tv. Don't forget, you can listen to us live on our mobile app when you're traveling. I could have used that, except I wasn't there to do the show last Thursday. Mike, did you go live on Twitch? Is that what you did on Thursday night?
Yeah. Well, I streamed on Mixer for just a little bit, and I think I had a few of them stop out and see it. So that was
good.
Fun.
Well, thanks for filling in for me. Will, in the post show, so if you're a regular listener in the post show, I'm going to kind of give a London update. So that'll be available on Patreon. You can go to the AverageGuy.tv/Patreon. We'll have kind of the separate feed for that. You don't need to be a subscriber. I'll just make it public, and you can go out there and get that. We'll do a London update, a little bit on some beer, and I've got some new cigars I want to talk about as well. But if you want to download the app, the AverageGuy.tv, go to homegadgetgeeks.com, and that will get you the app, Android and iPhone as well. Big thanks to Samantha, or Sammy, my daughter. She came on last week, 2 weeks ago, actually did a bang-up job. And it's a really good episode. So if you didn't catch it, there's no tech in it. It's just her and I talking about her future in journalism. We talked a little bit about broadcast journalism and how she sees cable news networks and how she views her job as a journalist. And then I asked the question, is podcasting journalism? And we talk a little bit about that. So if you haven't gone back to it, 425 HGG425 at the AverageGuy.tv. Erin Lawrence is with us tonight, and of course, big friend of the show. Erin, I'm going to owe you a Home Gadget Geeks t-shirt. I think this is maybe 8, 9, 10 times you've been on. I've kind of lost track, but welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And Christmas is coming, Jim. I'm just saying.
Okay. Well, maybe a t-shirt should be coming your
I would wear it with pride.
Wow, that is so awesome. By the way, I know we always say this, but a huge thanks to you for just being like, I just call you and like, hey, can you come on the show? And you always say yes, and you're always a great guest. So thanks for being kind to us as, we're just two tech podcasters here in Nebraska. But I always get really good comments when you're here. So thanks for doing this.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for the invitations. Honestly, I like talking to you guys a lot, and your audience is really great, super engaged and interesting. So it's always fun for me too.
Yeah, they're super fun indeed. Hey, give us a quick update. How's the van thing going on? Like, have you acquired anything new in the process?
In fact, I did. We got stumbled into a really great deal on a 2017 Ford Transit. So we had a 2007 Dodge Sprinter that we customized. That went so well, we stumbled onto this great deal on the newer Ford. So unexpectedly bought a second van and have started customizing that as well. Things are a little slow right now because it is cold and quite snowy here.
Do you have a garage you can pull it into and work on?
We do have a garage, but it's not over height, so we can't actually, and both the vans we have are over height, so we can't actually pull them in. And at that point with the door open, there's no warmth happening. So we kind of just put it on hold a bit. But I've got some new solar gear coming. We talked about putting solar panels on the van, so we're going to do that again.
Nice.
We're probably going to try and put some propane into this one, which we didn't do in the last one. Propane stove, propane heater, probably air conditioning, which we didn't have in the last one. And what am I forgetting?
Does it have a window?
Full solar again.
Does it have a window in the side? Because that was the problem, right? It was kind of a tunnel.
This one doesn't have a window in the side, but it does have 2 windows in the back, which I'm okay with. And we might yet try and get a window installed. We'll have to see. But yeah, we're pretty excited. I'm waiting for it to warm up. I hope we get a few warm days over the holidays so we can get a few things in. We need to get it spray foamed. We're going to get it insulated, which we did with the last one. And that seemed to keep things nice and toasty.
Yeah.
So it's really fun.
How'd the tech work out? You had some lights, you had a fan that would pop up, you had some, chargers, you were working off a battery. I don't think you had enough batteries in there, just to be honest. Like it was kind of small, to be honest. We saw the pictures.
Totally, yeah.
A little undersized for what I thought but did it work for you guys when you were going out? And
it does. The single battery that we have in the Sprinter is usually good for kind of almost 24 hours. So that's one of the things we did learn, that we would probably put in a second battery and maybe a third in this new van. And we did 200 watts of solar in the original van, and we're probably going to up it to 400 watts of solar. We also got this really great gadget, which I didn't even know these things existed. It's essentially an AC powered generator. So it's from a company called Renogy, and it's called the Lycan Power Box. So you can plug this, looks like a generator in, and you can run all your tech off it. You can charge your phones. You can run a heater off it. Just depends on wattage and amperage, which I'm still learning about. But you can also power it not only off the AC, you can power it off the cigarette light charger in the vehicle or off solar power. So we're going to get it's called a solar suitcase, which is one of those things that just sort of opens up 300 or 400 watts of solar panels, plugs into this device, and keeps it charged all the time. So making some significant power upgrades in the next van, definitely.
Sounds good. What's the retail on something like that? I mean, what's that set you back? That can't be cheap.
On the solar, I think the solar panels, oh gosh, I want to say they were around $100-150 per panel, and each of our panels is about 100 watts. The Lycan Power Box is probably closer to like $800, $900, $1,000, I think. And the battery in that is replaceable. So once you get through all of your charging cycles on a battery like that, in theory, you can replace it. So it should last a good long time. We've been playing with it and toying with it. It's been too cold to get out for much, but yeah, we can't wait to try out all these new toys, all this new tech.
So is the idea that you're going to keep both vans or eventually sell the first one? What's kind of the plan?
Airbnb, the one?
Yeah, no. Hey, I didn't even think about that. Is there a service for that? I'm sure there is.
There is, and we did it last summer and had the van rented out all summer. So I think we got it for one weekend in the end, had it rented out, which was part of the reason we thought, hey, if we keep this first van while we do the second van, we can rent the first van out and then see where we get to. So yes, to answer your question, there is an Airbnb for van life. Okay. There's a couple of them. There's one called Outdoorsy and another one called RVZ. Both.com, I think, outdoorsy.com, rvz.com. And you can put in your parameters. Do you want a trailer? Do you want a fifth wheel? Do you want, a small compact van? And you can rent them out by the night. So we did that with the first van and had great success, and people really liked it. It was really fun to share the whole van life experience with people like us who had never really tried it before, a year ago. And it went really well. So we're going to see where we get to this next year.
We're going to end up with a fleet. You're going to have like a whole fleet of vans. They're just going to keep rolling the money into the new one, right?
Don't laugh, because that might actually be
you've talked about it.
Doing. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right.
It sounds great, and it's fun, right? Something to work on, something to keep you distracted, and something to try out some of this new. I mean, think of all the solar tech that you get to kind of try out with this and see how it works. you had an extender, right? You had a cell phone extender in there as well,
Yes,
right?
amplifier, signal amplifier. And we've tried a couple of different versions of those. You can get them built in or temporary so that you can kind of just stick them on with a magnet and use them where you need them. And those actually work really great. Like all this stuff I didn't even know existed. And I was like, solar. I'm like, how good can it really be? And then you hook up the solar and it's like, oh no, it keeps everything like fully charged all the time. And it's been really good. We've been really happy. We've been getting stuff from that company. I think I just mentioned it, called Renogy. And their stuff is really durable. The products are really well made. So we've been really happy with it. And so to your question about the additional batteries, they also carry batteries. So I think we're going to order up a bunch of new batteries from Renogy probably in the next couple months. And yeah, we've been happy with it.
And I think there's some math that goes along with usage, and you really don't want the battery to go down below a certain amount as you're using those. So you kind of need to overpower what you think. It's not like your cell phone where you take it down and bring it up, but you want to keep your battery bank pretty full, I think, in most cases. And I've heard in some cases you not even want to get it below 50%.
Yeah, that's what we've been reading. And my husband has been very good about, when it does snow, as it has been here, he's out on the Sprinter van with he bought an extra long mop with not the mop head, but like a flat mop kind of thing. And so he gets out and he pushes the snow off the solar panels so that, everything stays charged up. And he bought a trickle charger for it. So if we ever do, get into a spot where it's just the weather is not cooperating, it's too cloudy or too much snow, we just plug in the trickle charger and that keeps everything topped up really nicely.
Oh, that's super great. And so we'll follow you those. If folks are new to the channel, maybe they're hearing you for the first time, they want to follow you on these van builds, where's the best place to do that?
I would say start with the blog, which is techgadgetscanada.com. And we also share this on youtube.com/Erin Lawrence TV and Twitter and Instagram at Erin LYYC.
Cool. Yeah, it's getting popular. So, Mike, you got into a little trouble for following a van life, right? I mean, I was kind of wondering what's going on. Was it Instagram?
Yeah, on the Instagram, we talked about hashtag van life last time, and fantastic, definitely worth a follow. But we were talking about before we went live, there's almost kind of like a hippie movement behind this as well. It's kind of part of it, right? Like live off the land, live in your van 24/7. Well, there's also a trend of people showing how they bathe, and so usually they're skinny dipping in like a lake right next to their van. And my wife was like, "Why are there all these like people bathing in a lake on your Instagram?" I'm like, "I swear it's nothing weird. I'm here for the vans. I'm not here for the skinny dipping women."
Are they all ridiculously good looking though?
They are, and usually their backside's bare. So yeah, yeah.
Oh. Well,
if they weren't, I don't think my wife would have a problem with it. I think
hold on, let me fire up my Instagram. Sounds like something I need to follow. So, an interesting byproduct of a conversation we had coming back in the summer. So,
yes,
Erin, as we think about Christmas, and we kind of have you on early every year to kind of think about that, and the first couple things I want to talk about is something every Christmas I think about, like, because in my house, I'm the guy who vacuums. So when the kids moved out, we divided and conquered kind of the house chores, like who's going to do what. And so I took over all the watering of the plants and all the vacuuming. And so every Sunday I vacuum the house top to bottom, but I vacuum the house top to bottom. And so with the advent of robot, we've talked with you about robot mowers. But for the last, 3-4 years, right? These aren't that new, but there's been a lot of innovation around the Roomba, the iRobot, these vacuum cleaners that do this in the house. And I struggle with it every year because it's a $500 bill, right? It's $400 or $500 to get the really good ones, I think. Yeah. Okay, so more.
And it's going up, because they're getting smarter.
Well, right, and there's now one that has its own base station, and it that came out last year, I think, at this time, and it discharges and the junk for you. So you spent a little time on your site, and these links will be in the show notes, so folks want to come out and see the work that Erin's done on it. But you've looked both at the iRobot Roomba, the S9 Plus, as well as and I have no idea how to pronounce this, Braava.
Braava Jet. I think I
No.
actually typoed it on you.
Okay.
Sorry, that's my
But
fault.
I want to say
Braava Jet.
Hey, bro. What's up, bro?
Well, I read it as Baja, so I'm not even reading even more close to the right word.
That's the surfboard mopping
Yes,
device.
exactly.
6.3 is starting to kick in. Let me just let me just say.
I'm
So-
drinking water. What's my excuse? You know.
You've looked at both of those. Let's kind of start with the mop piece. And we talked to you back, I think back in the spring, and you even tried one of those kind of mop style that clean the window, right? When
Yes.
right? We did that.
Yep.
So have you been trying these out? Are they getting better? I mean, are they actually doing their job?
They're getting a lot better. And I would say the key thing now, which makes a lot of sense to me, is that the mop talks to the vacuum. So the thing about a robot mop is it's great provided you, Jim, have done the vacuuming in your house. Otherwise, it's just getting gummed up with, pet hair and dust and everything else. So what they've been doing is figuring out how to get these two robots to talk to each other. So the good thing about the robot mop, which is the Braava Jet M6, and that's by iRobot, they're kind of like the giant of robot floor cleaning devices, if you will. So they figured out a way to get these two devices to talk to each other. So if you want to mop your floor, you can send the sweeper, the vacuum, out first. It sweeps up the whole house for you. And then when it's done, it basically tag teams the mop. The mop goes out and mops everything down. So to your point, yes, there were robot mops before. Yes, there were robot vacuums before. But now they're literally a team. Like, I think the next phase might be they combine into one magical device that does everything.
Yeah.
But for now, they work in tandem. They work in coordination. And that's pretty neat to see because it works.
You would think the two separate devices would probably be the best way to do this, right? There's one is using liquid, the other is really just trying to pull in as much dirt as possible, and that maybe seem I don't know. As I look at, although I'll probably be proven wrong, some engineering student will figure out how to do 2-for-1. It'll flip over. They always keep them pretty small too. Are these units are they remaining small? Have you seen them getting bigger? What are you seeing as far as these units go?
I would say the vacuums are probably about the same. You could say they've gotten bigger because now you've got the dustbin that comes with it. So whereas you used to have the robot vacuums that had a little, almost like a drawer that you would pull out and it was full of the dust and the dirt and the hair and everything else, you dump it in the garbage. Now they come with a dustbin attached. So it's the actual base station is a lot bigger and it does take up a lot more real estate. But tucked inside it is a vacuum bag. And when the vacuum is doing its work, it goes out. If it's full, it'll send itself back to the base station, empty the robot out into the base station, and then go back out and keep doing its job if it's not done your whole house. So the vacuums are, I would say, similar in size, but the base stations are bigger to accommodate that extra service that they're providing, I guess you could call it. The mops are also bigger. I tried out I would call it the original Braava Jet mop probably about 3 years ago. And it was fairly small. I mean, like smaller than a lunchbox, fairly compact. And, it's really kind of just doing one room. Like it's doing your kitchen or it's doing your bathroom and then it's sort of done. But now the mop is a lot bigger. And on the blog and the video review that I did, I put them up side by side. And you can actually see there is quite a size difference in them. The mopping pads seem to have gotten better. They now make reusable mopping pads for the mop, which is very convenient. There they are. For those who can see the screen, it's quite a significant size difference. And the other big thing about both the mop, I would say, and the vacuums nowadays is they've got a lot more brains. So these devices are able to map out your entire home, your entire main floor, know where boundaries, barriers, obstacles, sofas, walls are. And that allows you to sort of go back in afterwards. You can label your map. And then because it's voice connected, of course, you can tell Google to go mop the living room and the kitchen or go sweep all the bedrooms. And they're that smart now that you can fine tune the cleaning power of them to that degree.
Now, how accurate? Because that's what I've been noticing is the marketing around these things has kind of shifted towards the mapping technology, right? And have you found it does a pretty good job? And I've always wondered, do you have to almost tell it, well, show it a floor plan, or does it over time kind of give you the floor plan based on what it bumps into?
So what it'll do, it takes mine took probably 4 or 5 days to do. But the first few times it goes out, and this is true for both the vacuum and the mop, it basically is just running its own little, fact-finding mission. So every time it bumps into something, it registers that. And what it does over those first 4 or 5 days is it creates this, it doesn't even look like a map. It's just this really weird shaped space. And what you have to do afterwards is sort of go in and try and figure out, okay, well, this big space over here must be the bed in the master bedroom. And there's the dresser. Okay, so this is the master bedroom. And here's the island in the kitchen, and here's the table. So, okay, this is and you kind of have to put it together. It can be a little hard to interpret if you've got a lot of furniture or you haven't picked up your obstacles, or
if you have kids who leave toys everywhere every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it does a really good job, and you can figure it out, and then you go back in and label it afterwards. And, because it's constantly learning. So say you left a giant box in the middle of your living room for some reason, it'll figure it out afterwards. If the box disappears, it's like, oh, something's changed here about this map. So it's constantly learning. But once you're able to add those labels to each of the rooms, you can control it, with so much more precision. And it's really cool. It does a really good job.
So where maybe a couple years ago, these did an okay job. I'm showing the map currently on the screen. It almost looks the map. I'm kind of used to the, when you think about the map of a house, it's walls and stuff. This actually kind of looks like some islands in the South Pacific, right?
It looks a bit like a donut. But if you think about it, like the way, for those who can see it, obviously, it's almost like it's on an angle, right? So because we've got stuff around the edges of the walls, it cuts into it and creates this really weird shape. But that's just showing you that it knows where all the furniture that's placed against the walls are, or, where walls or peninsulas or islands are. And the other thing they've added too, which I think is really smart, is there's something called keep out zones that you can add to these devices. So let's say you've got pet dishes that the robot is constantly bumping into and spilling, or you've got, a rag rug by the front door that it's constantly getting caught up in. You can actually go in now to your map and draw sort of a keep out area around whatever. And either the mop or the vacuum will just stay away from that. So if it was ever, our old vacuum would get caught up on this. We had this one sort of register in the floor, the vent, and it wasn't quite flush. So sometimes the vacuum would get sort of caught in it, and then it would shut down. Now you can go in and say, just avoid this little small area, so it never gets near it. So it's not as much of a problem anymore.
I've got to try one of these out. I'm really I've been wanting to for a while. I think I'm going to wait though until my boys get a little older and they're not leaving all of because all their toys are on the floor right now. Puzzles, everything, and we would lose stuff, I'm sure. But ever since they came out with the model, like you said, with the base station that acts almost like a vacuum bag, because we vacuum, we are religious about vacuuming once or twice a week, but we have a dog who's a massive shedder, and you do one room and our big vacuum is entirely full. So yeah, look how that adds a lot of capacity and really makes it worth it, because before it would probably only be able to do a quarter of the room with the way our dog sheds. So yeah, this has me wanting to go out and try it again.
Yeah. They're ridiculously convenient.
With the new units, do you feel like, I always felt like when people do reviews, they're like, this is good for kind of light cleaning, and I'm still probably vacuuming once a month, or, kind of whatever. Are we still in that, are we kind of still there with these where they're good for kind of just the surface stuff, but you still feel like you have to go back and vacuum every so often?
I think you do anyway, because there's always going to be spaces these devices can't get into, whether that's your baseboards or the spot under the couch, or, the little space between the bedside table and the wall. You're always going to need to do that stuff anyway. But what I find these are good for is, you know, Mike, you said it, pets. You know, we've got 2 dogs, and I can send these robots out 3 or 4 times a week while we're at work, so it doesn't bother us. And it keeps the overall cleaning down. To your question with the mop, you know, if the dog's tracked in a ton of mud, is this going to scrub it all off? No. But, you know, that's the kind of spot cleaning you're going to have to do yourself anyway. For us, what we realized is we weren't, you know, we're both busy. We weren't keeping up with the floor cleaning as much as we probably should, having 2 dogs. So with the ability to send the vacuum out 3 or 4 days a week and the mop the same, I think we just feel better about the fact that our house is cleaner with the dogs and us tracking stuff in the winter weather and the mud and the water and everything else. It just keeps, for me, it keeps the overall housework down.
I'm just waiting for the first traditional vacuum company to come out with a marketing campaign around like hashtag save the lines, because for us we love the vacuum lines in the carpet,
right?
And it's the same thing with the mowing, where when I was deciding between my big riding lawnmower or a robot mower, I was like, I just love the look of lines. And I think a marketing campaign could be very successful once these things get big enough that it starts to really eat into the profits of the traditional vacuum companies.
Yeah,
it would be so hard for me to get rid of, because I've just been trained since I was a little kid to make perfect vacuum lines, right?
Oh,
and
wow.
look super. Yeah, it was something my mom taught me, and my wife is very appreciative that my mom just you know, it from a young age, and my wife was the same way, so it works out well. We love our vacuum lines.
Erin, the mop itself has always, the mops that have been out have not been very good, just to be honest.
Yeah.
For at least in the reviews that I've seen. With the bigger mop, and we're showing a picture on YouTube of kind of, I'm assuming this is after one time maybe of mopping the floor, or right? And
so I would say that's after doing our entire main floor.
Okay. Or satisfying that, do you see that as a pretty good result?
I do. And because, like I say, it's not picking up, you know, a big muddy footprint. It's getting all that extra little dirt and stuff that you don't necessarily see. You know, that if you wash the floor once a week, sure, like you're going to pick all that up and stuff, but it's the stuff that you don't see. So I was really surprised at how much it did pick up, because I had that impression too, especially the first mop I tried a couple years ago. I was like, there is no way this is picking up squat. And then you turn the mop over and you look at the cleaning pad, and it's horrifying. Like, it really is. It's quite mucky. It's quite dirty. There's all kinds of hair and fibers and everything else all over it. And it's just like, you know, that's what's on your floor between regular washings. And to your point, by the way, about the vacuum lines, this is something I noticed between my earlier tests of the robot vacuums and the newer vacuums. Whereas before, I think robot vacuums in particular used to clean sort of your whole room or your whole floor by virtue of the fact that at random, they're just kind of going around everywhere. And eventually they sort of make it to almost every spot in the house. Now they're a lot more linear and deliberate. So you can see this in the video reviews that I did for the new robot vacuum, the Roomba S9 Plus in particular, and even the Braava Jet M6 mop. They go in straight lines. So they're kind of going, and then they're touching the wall or touching the furniture, and then they're turning around and coming down the other side beside it. Whereas before they were just sort of bumping into everything. Now it's a lot more deliberate. The smarts inside these robots shows a lot more, I think.
It's probably a lot more efficient in that way too, right? Like,
I
haven't hit that area over there. It's not just me by random that I hit it again. I'm actually going to go out and pursue that area.
Definitely.
Okay.
Erin, you said in your video, did you have some there? Let's see if we can. I'm assuming this is it running. Do you show it coming off the carpet? Let's see.
Yeah. So they do. They've got a great ability, which is what we're seeing right now, is to avoid cords. So they can run over cords and basically spit them out. Whereas, again, previous generations would have just tangled them up and, you know, brought it to a stop. So now they're a lot smarter. Now they're able to avoid a lot of these issues, I would say. And I totally just forgot your question.
Oh, did you have any video of it being on a carpet?
Sorry. It goes pretty seamlessly from carpet to floor. And yes, there is carpet in here. I can't remember where exactly it is in the video.
Scanning through the video to see.
It'll do, it's actually got, I guess you could call it a power boost. So once it gets up from the floor onto the carpet, it'll actually kick the motor up higher because it wants to get all that junk out of the carpet fibers. So you'll hear it sort of kick up. And when it's doing the carpet, it's got a lot more suction power than it does when it's just doing, say, floors or tile.
When we showed that video just a minute ago, it wasn't long ago, we couldn't do streaming here on YouTube Live and show a video at the same time and it be inequality. And that actually worked somewhere. I know. Somewhere in the technology, maybe it's StreamYard, we changed over, and that actually looked pretty. Yeah, no, I haven't. I've actually avoided video in the podcast because of how bad it has been. It starts causing the video to jitter a little bit. I'm assuming those in the chat room who are watching live, I probably look just as good as if they were watching it on YouTube. You guys can let us know, but that was I just remember. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I'm showing a video, and I looked at it, I'm like, man, that actually looks pretty good. So somewhere in there, we just cut over. You mentioned price, and like that, the vacuum is $1,000. Is that right? Is about $1,000 more?
The new again, Canadian versus US dollars. I think the S9 Plus with they call it the clean disposal base. You can get the robot separately without that base and just empty it yourself. But if you want sort of the whole package, the new robot with the base, it's about 1,600 Canadian dollars.
So that's about $50 American.
Yeah,
that's right. Pocket.
That's a deal. Yeah.
Sorry to be the bearer of bad news on that.
Yes.
Our Canadian friends always hammer me on that all the time.
You guys do get a good deal.
So maybe 1,200 probably. If it's 16 there, it's probably 1,200 here. I think 1,000 to 1,200 bucks. Mike, is that enough? Like, okay, you're the perfect candidate for this, Mike, because busy, kids, dog. Like at the $1,200 price point, does that change your mind?
It's still a little too high, only because, and I'll tell you this, I actually don't think I'm the perfect candidate just because of the kids, because there are so many toys all the time. We do try and pick up every night, but that, how often does that happen, right? So it would be tough. I think you would start running into a lot of things. I don't know. It's getting there. I definitely want to try it out and see. Here's the thing. I think if I had one for a week, I would buy one, right? I think it would be once I saw it in action, had the convenience of it, I think we would really enjoy it. But without having like that initial hook to get me in, it's still a little high in price. I think they'll come down, right? That's still pretty pricey. It's almost like kind of new tech price to me, at least it seems.
Yeah.
Well, and you can get some of the older models in particular for a lot less. I mean, you can certainly get a basic Roomba, like we were talking about them. They're a little more random. They're a little less smart, a little less deliberate. They're not tag teaming them with the mop.
Yeah.
But you can get those for a couple $100 now.
Jim knows me though. If I go all in. I go, so Jim knows. Next week I'll say, yeah, I grabbed one. It was awesome.
No, you're gonna buy one, use it for a week, and then sell it
for more than I bought.
For more than you paid for it. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
That's the way Wieger works. He gets into something. He calls me, hey, you got to do this. So by the time I finally figure out what he's doing, he's already sold his stuff for more than he bought it for, and has moved on to the next. All right, ham radio, Mike. Are you still doing it?
I'm clicking I've
all right.
This is just my little tactile thing right here. I play with while I podcast.
That's an exception. We've been on ham now for 6 months.
Ham.
Maybe,
hey,
right?
That's a long time. Jim. The joke was I was talking to Hannah. I'm like, do you realize like I've been podcasting with Jim? This is the longest I've ever done anything. Like I've been with you for 5 years now. In my lifetime, that's longer than I've ever done it. Soccer, I guess. When I was a kid,
I think longer than you've been married.
It is. It's longer than I've been married. It's longer than I was in undergrad, obviously. 4 years longer than law school.
Yeah. Yes.
It's the longest I have done.
You heard it here first, Erin. Like Yeah.
Podcast husbands. That's
Yeah,
cool.
they're
Thank you.
podcast husbands. There we go.
Thank you. That's
Yeah.
that's pretty
Except
awesome.
for Jim
So-
seeing a divorce come in the future, I think, because I keep telling him I'm too busy on the weekends to see him.
No, listen, that won't break. As long
he
as
thinks,
you
he thinks I'm
Thursday.
seeing other podcast husbands.
As long
Oh,
Yeah, you know.
I'm actually thinking Hannah's blocking me at this point. She's like, "Hey, you spend too much time with him as it is already. He's getting you into bad habits, like a lot of beer and these cigars and all that other stuff." And
she's
so
talk blocking you.
she,
I'm
she-
kinda-
she
yeah.
knows that's not your doing. So
it's so good. Yes, she is indeed. We'll let that one rest. So my wife got a note on her phone. She is a Google Fi user, and they're giving all Google Fi users the new Nest. I think it's the Nest because that's a Google product now,
Mhm.
right?
yeah.
So they're all getting the low end, kind of the Nest devices.
Well,
the
Nest
home-
what? Because
I don't
now
know.
everything is Nest from them.
The
right
mini,
now.
No,
probably?
I
The
think it's
Google Nest
probably the
Mini?
I
Yeah.
imagine it's the entry level, which is pretty
Yeah.
interesting. They didn't ask; they just got a note on their phone that they say, "Hey, we're sending in one your way." Joe had said to me earlier he wanted me to review one, so I think he's drop shipping us one. I am kind of interested in the Google product, and of course, Erin, you reviewed these. We have I have the Amazon Hub, the 5-inch
Mhm.
hub, and we kind of like it. As a matter of fact, my wife just asked me this week, "Hey, should we get one of these for my mom so that we can do drop-in video?" Which, yeah, it's a
Oh,
perfect.
yeah.
And if she does that, I may get one for my mom, just to be honest, so we can drop in video with her. We could do video on the computer, but she has a hard time figuring that out. You tried out the Google Nest Hub Max. How'd you like it?
I like it. I like it a lot. Google's products, or Google Nest's products, are like, the form factor alone is really nice. This one, the Nest Hub Max, is a 10-inch screen with a stereo speaker. So looks beautiful, sounds great. And the sort of key differentiating factor about the Google Nest Hub Max is that it's got a Nest Cam built in. So great for doing video calls if that's what you want. But it also gives you the ability to look in on your room. So you can use it as a security camera and no one would know. So if you ever need to keep an eye on your kids, or you're out of town and just want to, see what's going on at home, that's the extra added feature with this one. So it does everything you would expect your smart home digital assistant smart speaker thing to do. Set timers and alarms, ask questions, answers, recipe conversions, news briefings, all that kind of stuff. But it's got this extra camera in it and it works really well. The camera quality is really good. It's kind of a nice added feature.
It looks like a beautiful device. I mean, at the 10-inch size, it's like having an iPad basically, but a lot cheaper, right? What are these retailing for?
The Max is selling for about 300 Canadian right now.
Oh, okay.
And the smaller version, which I think is about a 7-inch screen, which is the Google Nest Hub, is about 170. So, I mean, a bit of a price difference, depends what you want. Is the camera worth upgrading, and do you need a much larger screen on the Hub Max? So, yeah, kind of a...
I love that screen because we have the smaller version without the camera in it, and I love it in the kitchen. I always thought, Alexa, sorry, I just triggered everyone's even one. A lady, I always loved in the kitchen for measurements and things like that. But man, being able to ask them, and they talk about in the commercial, right? Like, how do I slice a lemon, right? How do I do whatever? And having it just instantly pop up a YouTube video and show you is really useful. I really like it. And it plays YouTube TV. It does all of those things. We have it in our kitchen. And then actually, the reason it gets the most use is because we have a curated automatic Google Photos playlist that plays on there.
Great.
And so anytime that our faces, me, my wife, or my boys show up in a picture in our thing, it'll show it on there eventually. And that is actually my father-in-law. He'll come and just sit in front of that thing for like an hour and he'll just swipe through all the photos.
Nice.
He thinks it's one of the coolest things.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how I would feel about the screen or if it would get much use. And I use it now more than I do A Lady in the kitchen, and we have both right next to each other. The A Lady for us plays obviously better audio because it's the full-sized Echo device compared to the smaller Google, but the Google Max with those stereo speakers, is the sound pretty decent?
The sound quality is great. The Hub Max is not that far off the original Google Home Max, which was sort of the really big speaker version, like the semi-pro version almost, right? So it's a bit smaller than that, and it's got the screen on it. The audio quality on these devices, like whether it's the Google devices or honestly the A-Lady devices, is really good. Like they sound amazing. I tried the Google Nest Mini a few weeks ago, and I thought, compared to all of these much larger speakers, this is going to sound like crap. And I tried it out, put on a bunch of music, and I could not believe how good it sounded. Of late, I've been really impressed with the quality of a lot of the things that I've been testing out. I would say about 4 or 5 years ago, I went through a phase where I felt like everything I was testing out was just crap. And people were just throwing stuff onto the market. It wasn't ready for prime time. Nothing worked as it was supposed to. The quality was subpar. And I feel like a lot of the manufacturers and, Google and Amazon among them have just raised the bar on everything. And, they say you're getting a good speaker. You're getting a good speaker.
Okay, that's good to know, because I've been thinking about maybe trying out more of the Google devices and giving them a shot. Our house is littered with Echo devices, and I was like, maybe giving the switch over could be something pretty cool. Although I've been playing a ton lately with the Echo's ability to do routines. So a good night routine, and having her go through a whole list of things that she does has been pretty cool too. I've been playing around with the different skills and playing music. Hannah and I have been trying to listen to music as we fall asleep, see if it helps us sleep better. And the routines is pretty cool. I'm sure Google has something very similar to it.
Yes.
But those sort of things, and along with Apple's Siri, which also has that same sort of routine skills ability now, where you can build your own automation with Siri, has been pretty cool.
Erin, they're getting so much smarter.
You're using both, I'm assuming, in the house. Do you have a preference on what's your go-to now?
I would say probably up to about a year ago, it was Alexa, without a doubt, and far and away. Google's really stepped up. So I would say I went through this about 6 months ago, and I was like, okay, are both assistants still kind of on par with each other? And I would say they are. I mean, they can both recognize so many of the commands now. They're so responsive. I would say 9 times out of 10 on either device, I'm getting a valuable response out of them. I'm going to say this with some sadness, because I am an Apple user and I really do I love my iPhone. I love my MacBook. But Siri makes me sad. Siri, I just find is not nearly as responsive or as smart or as intuitive as either Google or Amazon's devices. So I played with sort of Apple's HomeKit a while ago, and with one of their smart speakers, and it was okay. And then I just sort of left it behind. And I would say I've pushed forward with both Google and Amazon, and I've had really good results. I'm probably due to try out the Apple HomeKit, see how it's doing these days with Siri. But
have you used shortcuts with Siri, the new app, or do you use an iPhone? I guess
I do use an iPhone. Yeah.
Okay. I think I had not. They announced this about a year ago, I think, with shortcuts being the ability to build in automation. And if you go into the gallery, because they have pre-built ones that people can submit, and go look at what they're doing, and then look at the actual script that they're running, how they built it. It's ingenious, the things you can do now with shortcuts. So I've really started playing with it. Now, it's a different use case. For me, I have my Google and my A-Lady at home, right? Because those are speakers. I'm not going to have the HomePod everywhere. Those are just way too expensive. But for an out and about in the wild, when you're out of your home Siri has become a super powerful tool with shortcuts. Even the ability of like it knows as soon as it connects to the Bluetooth in my car I don't have CarPlay or anything. I have an automation where it starts playing my latest podcast, open up Waze, get directions to work, and only do that if it's within a certain time period, right? Because if I do that in the middle of the day, I don't want directions to work. But in the morning, that's what it's going to do every time it connects to my car Bluetooth. And just so little things like that, people have been doing a lot with RFID tags because they opened up that ability. So they get home and they just tap their phone as they walk in the door, and it triggers all sorts of automation. So for me, it's more of a great out and about assistant, and it's gotten a lot better. Now, Google does this a lot without needing to play with it, right? Because Google just has that data. But Apple has really opened up its abilities and everything in the gallery, the gallery of shortcuts. So I think you have to go out and get the app. It's no longer just included, but it's from Apple, called Shortcuts. And just fun to play with.
I think it is included, Mike.
Is it included now?
Yeah, it's a good reminder because I tried if this and that integrations to get Waze to open as soon as I leave my home area.
Yeah.
99 times out of 100, when I'm leaving my home area, I'm going to work. So that's a pretty safe assumption to say, hey, when I leave the home area, I just want you to open Waze and navigate to work. Because what I really wanted to do is tell me, don't take the interstate, because I have really two options to get to work: the interstate or 10th Street, or I think it's 13th. And a lot of mornings now are, in the last year, that interstate commute for me it's jammed up 3 out of 4 times. And so Waze has become more important to be like, no, don't go that way. Take 13th Street. And so I've tried using if this and that. Doesn't work very well for that. I need to try shortcuts because I think that may be the way to get it done.
Try it. And then the thing that in my brain, when I still think of Siri and these, I think of an assistant where I need something right now and I ask it something, right? Where when you're looking through the gallery on shortcuts, there are things like, hey, every morning, email me my calendar. So look at my calendar and just send me an email with a PDF, or you can have it texted to you, right? Like, what are my main things I have today? And it can do all these automations that don't really require you to even have any input, but it's things that, and like I said, there's a what is my availability? So I can say, hey, check my availability for next Friday, and then send a meeting invite to Erin Lawrence with my availability. And the background script that these guys have developed in this app is super cool. Where it goes, it checks your calendar, when am I available, takes that information, parses it, puts it in a text message, sends it to you, and all of a sudden, within a second, you have my availability for that day without us being connected in Outlook or the traditional calendar clients. So just, give it a shot. It's a good reminder to kind of check these things out. So that, and then routines for A Lady, things that have just been getting a lot better that I've been enjoying playing with.
I will definitely check that out.
A couple comments from the chat room. Let's not forget about them. Kevin is by the way, new feature on StreamYard. So now when I bring in comments, it doesn't cover up the bottom person.
Oh, it moves them up. Look at that.
Yeah, it moves everybody up. So the guys at StreamYard are crushing it. Kevin says they do sound good. We were talking about these devices. They are all chasing Sonos for sound quality, and I think there's some real truth to that. Of course, Sonos sets the bar. Is the kind of the leader in that, and then of course Kevin says, but of course Amazon and Google come in at a fraction of the price of that. Tajowski says I have one of the older Lenovo made Google assistants, and the sound quality is really, really good. Not Sonos, but pretty close. Kevin agrees.
Sonos has the smarts built in now too. I think you can access both Google and Alexa using a Sonos. Kind
of your choice of that. Other Jim says, I have the Echo Show 8, and we have the Show 5, and I think that's the one we're going to buy for our parents. Coming on the way. I like the shutter for the camera, and that is, it's the lowest tech thing in the world. It's just a piece of plastic, but that is a good right over the camera. We have not ended up using our Show 5 for very many things, but it really, like, having the added feature, even for timers, having the camera, the screen, and I know I'm a little early in the show to mention this, but when we're making HelloFresh meals with it, many of the steps take timers, and so we get multiple timers rolling on that, and then you can say, show me my timers, and if you've named them right, hey, the potatoes got 15 minutes, the carrots got 10. we're finding that to be really, really kind of helpful and convenient as far as being able to have that screen. Mike, we don't watch YouTube on it. I don't, although you can't, I don't think you can watch YouTube live on an Amazon device, right?
Okay. Oh, not on Amazon. And I don't know how to do it on Google. The only person in our house who knows how to do it is my almost 2-year-old.
Is Emmett?
Somehow. No, it's
Oh,
Harrison,
Harrison?
my even youngest one. Somehow, without fail, he gets up there and he swipes some way and he's watching YouTube TV. But I have no idea how he does it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't find us watching it a lot for media consumption. I kind of want it on a bigger screen, and there's kind of other ways to do that. But I am finding it terribly convenient. Let's ask her what she feels about this. So I'm going to say, hey Alexa, how do you feel about the Google Nest Hub Max?
Here's something I found from the article Google Home on Wikipedia. A second smart display called Google Nest Hub Max.
All right, Alexa, stop. So we
display and video camera.
Alexa, stop. So there's there is this, and I wasn't expecting anything, but you do kind of get these. We're still in this spot where you're getting they're going to the search engine looking for some kind of relevant something or other that's on it. The drop-in capabilities, Erin, have you done much where you're talking, you using them like you would use a telephone or communication device?
I was trying to use it in our house. Our house isn't that big, but I thought it was super convenient to be, my husband's home office is in the basement and mine's upstairs. So, I would try and drop in on him and I'd be trying to complete the call and I'm like, what is going on? So I go downstairs and he's got it unplugged. His whole thing about these devices is like they're listening to us, they're watching us. So when I was testing out the Google Nest Hub Max, I'd come out, in the morning and the screen is face down on the table. Yeah. So I'm like, what are you doing to my device? He's like, oh, there's a camera in there. I'm like, well, there's a shutter, like you can just shut it off. And he's like, no. So
good thing his wife's a tech journalist.
I know. It was working when they were plugged in, but when he sort of grows weary of, the device listening to him, he just unplugs it. And so it's a little harder to drop in on people when the device is unplugged. But otherwise it works fine.
I added an Echo Auto to my car, and speaking of dropping in, there's also the announce feature, which is really cool. So you can say, hey, announce that I'm on my way home. So in the car, I can just say that.
Oh, cool.
And it announces it at home because I know that when I leave, Hannah is already home with the boys, and she's usually thinking about dinner, getting stuff ready, and just lets her know that I'm on my way. And the boys think it's really funny that, oh, where's he at? And it just kind of breaks in and announces that without having to do the whole drop-in call, start call, end call. It's just one quick command, right? Or Hannah can do
That's
it.
a great feature.
She can say announce, and it to all the ones in the house, hey, dinner's ready, come to the kitchen or whatever. And it works pretty well, especially I think if you had older kids who are maybe up in their rooms and in all corners of the house, being able to do that, especially because our house is littered with those tiny little dots.
And you can do that with the app too, right? So you can go to the app and set the announcement and send it to everything. That's a cool way. I do find, maybe it's just because I'm getting old, but I'm having a hard time keeping up. Like there's so many great capabilities, and you're like, I didn't even know I could do that. I mean, I knew I could do the announcement thing, but
that's the first I've heard of announcements. I'm just sitting here going like, wow, that's a game changer.
That could be, especially if you've got them, set up correctly. In theory, if you connect a family, you could do these. It doesn't have to be in the house, right? You can drop in on so-and-so's Echo, and they can answer it. The green light will do. I'm assuming Google has some similar functionality, and it's built into so they'll connect together as well. So
they've got Google Duo. Okay. Which is sort of their video calling feature.
Same kind of functionality. I think we're probably going to be a dual family starting here pretty quick. I've been looking at the Google devices just because it's like I should probably get one or two to kind of mess around with, and so I think that Christmas time, now is the right time to buy. I don't know about you guys, but there were so many good Black Friday deals this year that, Acronis, I'm a big Acronis user. They kept dropping their price like every 3 days. And I was like, dang it, why did I buy this back in early November? I could have gotten it for like $1 at some point. I
was just in the grocery store, Jim, and like not an hour ago, and they're giving them away if you spend, $200 on groceries. You can get the Google Nest Mini. And
they're
I was
trying
just
to flood the market for sure.
I thought, that just shows you how prolific these are becoming, that they want them in absolutely
They do.
every home and
They
every
do.
room.
The Amazon devices, you can plug them into the walls, and they've just got listening posts ever. I always wondered, as a kid, and I was watching Star Trek, right? And they in some of those episodes of Star Trek, they would have a situation where they needed to go back and play something that had happened in the past. So they say, computer, play this thing, and then it would show. And I was like, how did they do that? There were no cameras, and now I know they were Amazon devices.
Right.
Well, that's been a court case already. The court wanted to go back and access the audio from a crime that was committed. I don't know all the details, but and the courts had a battle over did Amazon need to release that data? Can they release that data? And it was a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Erin, it's the season of lights. It's Christmas time. And you're actually you cover the lights better than anybody, which is great. I think you really like lights. I think you really like it. We finished the deck finally. And for folks who've been listening to me for a long time, they know this was a 6-year project that I embarked on. This is a lot worse than Gilligan's Island, because I was rebuilding that deck for a long time. And if you're laughing, you're old. And and I've been thinking about putting some outdoor hue, or because you can change the colors and you can do that. And then I kind of start looking at the price tag, right? And you kind of think, oh, I need about 200 feet of lights. That's going to be a couple $100 in lights, right? But there are some interesting lights out there. What do you like? What are you seeing? And what's kind of rising to the top when we think about decorative lights for the housing for you right now?
Oh, yeah. Well, Philips Hue, who I actually really like, I think they probably do smart lighting better than anyone. They've got all kinds of outdoor lights and indoor lights for that matter, but outdoors, if you want something for your deck, they've got sort of these light strips. And the one I got for our deck is actually quite long. So you're talking about you need a longer run. This one, I can't remember off the top of my head how long it is, but runs the whole length of our deck. They've got spotlights now. Ring is also the makers of the video doorbells. They also have some outdoor lights. Now their lights aren't color changing. They're more sort of security lights that connect to the cameras. But they've got a whole lineup of lights. Philips Hue does some really cool stuff. LifeX is also another company that's doing a lot with smart lighting. And you can get the light strips, so you can put them around the windows. You can coil them up under, a piece of furniture under the couch. They can change colors. You can set all the timers for these so that they can, come on as soon as it's sunset in a Christmas pattern. Like you can make them red and green. You can make them orange for Halloween. So, I've got smart lighting all over the house. And you can do this with the light bulbs too. So, and of course, because they all connect to Google and Alexa, sorry, lady.
You're fine.
You can ask for, turn all my lights red and green, and they'll do it, or turn them blue, depending on what kind of decor you want to do for the holidays, or turn everything to candlelight. So it's just a really nice way. I've always found smart lights a really nice way to set the mood. And yeah, for the holidays, it's just a natural.
Yeah. I just bought some Christmas lights last year at the end of Christmas. You get, they're normally $20. You get them for like 17 cents. You know how that goes. So I bought those in the green, and I just stapled them up there. And actually just, I on one side I put frosted, on the other side I put non-frosted, whatever you call those, native. I don't even know what to call them. And what do you call those lights that don't have anything on them?
Lights. Sounds good to me.
Lights.
Native. Let's go with native.
Native sounds good. So, and man, we put them up underneath the railing, and it just adds so much ambiance to it. But it would be fun to look at maybe putting some rope lighting underneath there completely, that you could do some controls when you're trying to set mood or trying to change colors or stuff. Is that complicated to do? Is it pretty easy? Is it all in the app? Is that something I could pick up pretty fast?
Definitely. It's all in the app now. And you can also add tricks. Mike, I think, mentioned IFTTT, or do we call it IFT?
Yeah. Whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Where you can have your smart lights set up. So if it's going to snow tomorrow, in my house, for example, the lights all turn blue. So if I wake up in the morning and all the lights are blue, I know it's scheduled to snow tomorrow.
Which
if
is
they
every
turn
day in the winter, right? Every day in the winter for you.
Blue lights. So using the controls in the app is super simple. It's pretty easy to set timers or to, a lot of them have like a sunrise or a sunset function. So you can have your lights come on, you know, at sunrise, an hour before sunrise, an hour after sunrise, shut off, or sorry, at sunset, shut off, you know, at sunrise kind of thing. And at the same time, you can program what brightness do you want them to come on at? What colors do you want them to come on at? Exactly which lights do you want to come on? So, you know, familiarizing yourself with the apps or the interfaces, they're all pretty user-friendly. And it gives you so much flexibility to just, you know, create, and you can create those routines like we were talking about earlier too. It's like, you know, set the Christmas routine or happy holidays, whatever you want that routine to be. And yeah, they're fun. I really like smart lights. I really like them.
I'm showing the Philips Hue white and color ambient. This is their outdoor strip, a 7-foot section, and it's $87. Am I missing something, or is that going to be pretty much standard? Again, like I would need,
I'd say that's
you know,
standard. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I really have, the deck has 1, 2, 3, 4, 8-foot sections. So I would need 4 of those. So that's a $380 setup, which even in Canadian dollars is pretty expensive, right?
That's a mortgage.
I know. We're thinking about that, you know?
But if you think about it, if you were going to go to Home Depot and buy the equivalent of light fixtures and wire and junction boxes and do all your wiring and, you know, and then it's probably not smart. So I don't know. I feel like the cost would be fairly comparable. And, you know, if you use the traditional lights, you're getting none of the smart functions. You can't voice control them. You can't control them with the app in a lot of cases. So, you know, it's what you want them to do, right?
Yeah. And maybe there's some other options for me as well. And I'm not saying, you know, you always go the cheapest options, but, you know, here's some colored light rope. This is 33 feet.
Whoa.
100 LED. And
$15.
$15. Now, I'm not saying you go
Probably
this
can't
route.
go wrong.
You're not saying you go this route, because I'm sure it comes in a Chinese bag, and you know, but
It says it comes with perfectly matched hooks, Jim. I don't even know what that means.
There you go.
18 sets of hooks.
All right. First of all, I'm super impressed that you can even read the words on your screen. Are you watching us on your like 50-inch TV? Is that what you've got going on there?
I did just get a 55-inch LG OLED TV, but no, I am not watching that today.
All right. I thought maybe you were all your review gadgets have been deployed. Well, I'm kind of thinking like, you know, there's probably some middle ground, but that being said, man, 17-cent Christmas lights, and I'm not far away. Like we're 13 days from Christmas as we record this right now. And I'm like, hey, there's always those after Christmas deals. And
definitely.
I will probably go pick up just some green and try to match them as close as I can. The store I bought them at last winter has already gone out of business, so I don't know if I'm going to get those exact lights again. But Shopko, where I got my earbuds, those they went out of business, so I don't know. But it is kind of great, and I've got the deck lights are on an old school switch. I go out there and go click, and they come on, you know, and you're like, that's pretty cool. And
I think it totally depends on where you're putting them and what you need. Because, for example, you guys, we were talking about my lighting, and I'll kind of pan up here. So it's hidden in between the wood beams, so no one's going to see what type of lights they are. And for me, I'm not changing the color too often, so the remote works pretty well for me. Or I also had them on one of the, the smart plugs, right? From TP-Link or whatever. And so you could still have voice-enabled on-off. Now, you're not going to be able to change the color. But, you know, for a certain... If these were my upstairs lights where I want that color changing, the scenes, the routines, but it's just, I think it depends. So for an outside spot, maybe you don't really need the color changing. So maybe the cheap ones do work and you use a TP-Link little smart switch, and then that way they at least can be on your routines for on and off. but not the color changing because I use a mixture of both.
Yeah.
Well, and the
Depending on what I
good thing
want.
about smart lights too is that the way I've done it is I've added kind of lights every year, you know,
True.
and
last
you can
forever.
constantly expand
Yeah.
your setup and your kit. So, Jim, I say start with one run, you know, along the back of the deck or something. See how you like it, and then if you want to, you know, start adding more,
Yeah.
it's all buildable, right? So
No, right on. And I can finish out the deck in white to have
Mhm.
the, you know, to kind of have the basic lighting. And then I could begin to add some other things that to it on the smart side. It would be fun. You know, we're not out there a ton because of the weather. We're not out there really as much. If it was in California and we could go out, you know, 350 days out of the year, then I might think, okay, I'm going to invest in these lights because we're going to use them all the time. I mean, I'd love one of those things where it could be set up to the music that's playing, or
Mhm.
you could kind of set it, you know, kind of dim it, brighten it up, whatever you're trying to do. What besides, okay, so you had a utility use case where you're saying like when it's going to snow, they're blue. Do you have other settings that you use for that kind of to tell you things with your lights besides that one? Or now Mike's just showing off back there.
I was trying to see if I could do red and blue, and I can't.
But Erin,
It's all or nothing. And so
do you have
does
other
not work.
scenarios that you use that for?
We did. I had it set up for a while where if somebody rang our Ring video doorbell, the lights on this one particular lamp would flash. And then for Halloween, I had a setup where if somebody rang the Ring video doorbell, the lights would flash like orange and purple or something. And then there was like one other level that I could have taken that where if I had hooked it up to, you know, a smart speaker or something, that I could play, you know, scary sounds like scary laugh. That was the worst scary laugh ever, by the way.
It's good. It's at the end of
I'll work on it.
You're okay.
So there's all kinds of things you can do with it. The doorbell thing is kind of a more practical use case if you don't necessarily hear the doorbell, because if you don't have the Ring chime installed and you don't have your phone with you, you might miss it. But if the lights are going on and off, you know, you might notice it.
Yeah. Tonight, as we were getting ready to eat dinner, my daughter was doing something, and I think she was plugging in the Christmas tree. And she said she came home on Tuesday night, so she hasn't been home very long from school. And she goes, "Don't we have something that we can just say turn on the Christmas tree and it comes on?" And how funny, like that was. She was saying it like it was an expectation. I had bought last year, 2 years ago, I think every year I bought a plug for the tree.
Mm-hmm.
We use it. We take the tree down. I have an extra plug. It gets deployed somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it got me thinking I should probably go on Amazon tonight and order a plug. So we've got, although there's only 13 days till Christmas, but the point was how quickly her expectation was that this thing's not on a smart plug.
Yeah.
Like,
Dad,
like, what is your deal, dude?
I had the same exact problem, Jim, and then I had to quickly in my head, I'm like, okay, what lights in here are not hue lights that I would have used a switch for? Where did I put that plug? And sure enough, it was down here in the basement. But I found it.
Yeah.
So,
no, you end up.
We're all good now. Christmas is back to being automated.
You Erin, we got just a few
happy
minutes.
automated Christmas.
Yes, exactly. Or take Tajowski's suggestion and say, you know, on command, Merry Christmas on and Bah Humbug is off, right? That's how
I do like
those
that.
could be your vocal commands.
Yeah, that's a good one indeed. Erin, we just have a couple minutes with you left. What do you have coming up? As we think about, I mean, Christmas is obviously coming up, and hopefully you're taking some time off from all the writing and the video stuff that you do and those kinds of things. As you look ahead to 2020, do you have some projects as you think besides the van? We're going to follow you. When do you think you'll have your van done? When do we need to have you back on to review the second van? Maybe summer?
Ideally, definitely by summer. But as soon as we get some decent weather that we can get out there, we had the idea we wanted to get it done in a month, and we were trying really hard in the fall to like jam it through, and we just got hit by bad weather really soon. So I would say as soon as we get some good weather, like April, if we have it ready by like May, that would be ideal for me.
Just getting in my head. From a review perspective, you got any gadgets laying around that you're kind of excited about reviewing?
I do. I just finished reviewing a new smart home printer. HP Tango, and smart home printers are connected now, which I didn't know. I could be at the office and print something for my husband to sign at home, or print a note or whatever, or be at home and print something at work. Like, everything's connected now. LG just loaned me a 55-inch OLED TV that is quite literally a thin sheet of glass that is narrower than my pinky finger. And I mean, I had it on just for a couple minutes while I was getting it out of the box and set up. Looks spectacular already. So I'm going to do a full review of that TV. I'm really looking forward to going to CES, which is the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas, first week of January. I always find, again, crazy stuff that you just don't even know is out there. And you get to try it and see it in action and learn about it, and hopefully have a review opportunity down the road. So I've got all those on the go. I've got a sound bar coming, a Yamaha soundbar and subwoofer combo. And what else am I doing? Yeah, that's
plenty.
I've got a lot of stuff coming down.
That's plenty. Yeah, no, it sounds super cool. It's funny. As long as I've been doing this, I'm in a spot right now. I'm busy enough that reviews just don't sound that interesting to me, but I really appreciate all the reviews that you do. Like I've subscribed to you on YouTube, so I get the notification as soon as it comes out. Sometimes I try to be the first person to watch it. That's just, that's kind of one of those kinds of things that I'm weird about, but I'm really enjoying like just watching your reviews and the stuff that you're doing. I think you fit what we do so well here. You're kind of an extension of Home Gadget Geeks. So thank you for all the work. Thanks again for kind of coming on here and being a part of all the things that we do and being so kind to be on. We appreciate that. We'll look forward to catching up with you springtime or so.
I think so. I hope so.
See how the van's coming along, and hopefully you're still the van. Well, you're still married. We'll just hope at that point that.
So far, so good.
Okay, good. I wouldn't want the van to get in the way, or skinny dipping people. I don't know whatever's going on with van life.
I have to work on that. Have to work on those pictures.
Whatever's going on with van life. Erin, again, thanks for coming on. We'll let you go so you can go back to your program already in progress. And thank you for coming in. Mike and I will wrap up things here. So I appreciate it.
Thanks, you too. Happy holidays.
Have a great
Happy
Christmas.
holidays.
You bet.
You bet. We'll see you, Erin. Well, with that, we'll remind folks, if you want to support the show and join us on Patreon, you can do it at theaverageguy.tv/Patreon. I want to thank everybody for doing that does it. It's just at Christmas time. Tajowski sent us some beer this week, which is always great. Joe, thanks again for doing that. And it's just fun to get those things and share them with you guys. I get to share them with Mike. It's just enjoyable. So we appreciate your generosity in you guys doing that.
100%.
Yeah. No, super great. See what else am I supposed to say? I just totally lost. I totally did. I totally lost my train of thought. Don't forget theaverageguy.tv, powered by Maple Grove Partners. Get secure, reliable, high-speed hosting from people that you know and you trust. Christian just did a bunch of upgrades. By the way, he talked about those on Cyber Frontiers 59, which we just recorded, and it will be coming out hopefully this weekend. I have 3 shows to do this weekend, so hopefully we'll have that out, but you'll want to listen to that as well. He just made some upgrades. Looking for some new customers, so if you're looking for hosting, and he can kind of configure it to be anything. He just picked up some new bandwidth or something, and he's like, Jim, it's super fast. So if you want to head out there, if you got some things you want to host, Mike, you got something, you're hosting something over there.
I do. Yeah. I still have, I need to do some updates to it. I kind of was giving myself some time to get into ham. I did some initial ham posts, and I've been waiting to get back out there. Yeah. I have a ham, w0egr.com is my domain out there.
Yeah. It's freakishly fast. So it's just super crazy. Don't forget, you can also listen to us on our app, Android, iPhone. Patreon subscribers help pay for that as well. And Spreaker, thanks Spreaker for building that for us. It's available at homegadgetgeeks.com. I mentioned HelloFresh, and they always keep me up to date with like super great coupons, and I can get you a free week of food. So if you're starving, and who isn't during the holidays, like take a week off
Yeah.
and do HelloFresh. Like it's super easy.
Take them up
You
on
can,
it. Yeah.
you can give it a try. Sammy's home. Her and I are going to be cooking HelloFresh meals during the holidays as well. We did a
If you guys
poll.
sell him out, I've got a bunch too because you got me hooked on
No,
it.
you guys liking it?
Yep.
And you're able to skip when you need to.
Yeah,
and
yeah. Like
all
we
those
skipped
things?
all of December because we're just busy and not here very often. So we skipped December, and they didn't have any problem with that.
Yeah, no high
So,
pressure.
that's
No, like,
awesome.
hey, are you coming back?
Right.
No, they just let it go, and we got what was really cool in this last box. We got some tin pans to use for leftovers, and I was like, that's kind of good thinking.
That is pretty, yeah.
I just love that they're really thinking about not just the food experience, but kind of the whole thing, the whole
Right.
experience of what you're doing there. And they got a wine club, and they've got some other things there as well. If you want to check them out, let me know. Jim@theaverageguy.tv. I'll get you a coupon for a week for free. I don't make anything off that one. There's in the show notes, there's a link. I think you get 40 and I get 30 if you want to do it that way. That's fine. Some people have said, no, I want you to benefit from it. So if you want to do it that way, that works as well. But let me know, Jim@theaverageguy.tv. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out here at theaverageguy.tv/live. Mike, you told me you're out next week. Is that true? What are you doing?
I know. We have it's kind of cool, actually. We have for our M&A department, which I'm the attorney for them, we are doing our 2020 planning, and our CEO has a lodge here in Nebraska. And we're going to go do an overnight kind of planning, retreat, fun, team building Thursday into Friday out at the lodge. So that was...
You're ditching me for work?
I know.
Jeez.
Yeah. Man,
What kind of freaking priorities are that? I don't get that at all.
Yeah. Do we have a guest next week?
Yeah, so Joel from Life Door is coming on.
Oh, that's right. It's Joel from Life Door.
And here it is. Here's the unit right here. I haven't even opened it up yet. So
are you doing a live unboxing? On
I
the
will
show?
probably. Well, I don't know. I will probably have it ready so I can show it when we're on the show. Ordered it on a Black Friday deal. I think I got it for $89 or something like that on Black Friday. Again, God, Black Friday was so great. Maybe we'll talk about a little bit of that in the post show. Black Friday deals. Some things that we saw. I definitely need to start building a list of things that I want, saving money for them and buying them on Black Friday. It was ridiculous. Like usually, you go Black Friday or whatever, but something like Life Door, I wasn't even waiting. I just, I was sitting around and I got an email from them. And they're like, hey, we're running a Black Friday deal and it's like 20% off or whatever. And so I picked it up and it came while I was gone. I also got a sweet cigar deal at Thompson's, and they sent me a lighter and a cutter in there as well. And
free gift with the purchase of your cigars.
Yeah, and we'll talk about this in the post show as well. Not a lot here, but I got a little rugged Herfador, which is
what's
the ability.
Herfador?
Yeah, it's just that's the brand for.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I didn't know it was a special type of humidor.
No, they call it a Humidor.
Oh,
but
okay.
I'll put a Bovida pack in it. We'll talk about it in the post show. But so I picked up some things. These were all Black Friday kind of deals as well. So stay around. If you're listening live, stay around. If you're a regular listener, I know it's been a while since we've done a post show, but we'll do one. I'm going to talk a little bit about London. So if you want to stay around, go out to Patreon, theaverageguy.tv/Patreon. We'll have a kind of a whole separate post show. Mike, you got a few minutes for me to do that?
Oh, yeah.
Is that okay?
Definitely.
So don't forget, come out and join us live, theaverageguy.tv/live, Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern. We'll see you next week. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.